started, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, this beautiful Thursday night. Um, I have a really fun presentation planned for you guys. Jacqueline asked me to talk all things macros and kind of how to fit that within your meals. And then we also are going to spend some time kind of talking about how to fuel your workouts for Orange Theory. And if you have like other workouts you're doing or whatever, we can definitely talk about that. So if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to just drop a message in the box and I will try to look at it as I go. But I'm excited to get started. Okay. So just a little bit about me. So my name is Nicole Hinckley and I'm the owner of Blissful Nutrition. I have a virtual private practice where I see clients really in all different phases of their life and dealing with all kinds of different conditions. I haven't niched in one per se because I do feel like working in each of them really helps me understand people's like bodies as a whole. And yeah, so I love it. I love all things like hormone health and weight loss and emotional eating, gut health, you name it. I will say, although I haven't niched, people have kind of niched me into being like your go-to girl whenever like you've kind of tried everything and you can't really figure out like why it's not working for you. So whether that's losing weight or maybe you have some stomach issues that you can't really get to the bottom of, that's where people come to me. And I'm like a little nutrition detective to help you work through that. And we are going to be covering a bunch of content today. So I just want to say before we get started, if you can even take away like two things from this presentation, that is great. I think it's all about really like consistency. And one of my favorite quotes from the compound effect is small, seemingly insignificant steps completed consistently over time will create a radical difference. And I've seen this throughout my clients. And I've seen this just like in my life in all areas, health, fitness, finances, you name it. So consistency is what matters. Pick one or two takeaways from today because honestly, I grabbed a bunch of content with things I might spend 4 or 5 sessions working with a client on. So it's a lot. All right. My first tip for you guys is going to be to balance your macros at each meal and snack. So I'm sure some of you guys have heard about macros, counting macros. I'm sure some of you maybe are doing that right now. If you haven't, no worries. We're going to talk about the basics of macros and macronutrients. But if you are counting them, I hopefully am going to offer something a little bit different than you're normally doing, so you can tweak it a little bit. So what are macros? Macros or macronutrients, they're like the next step down from calories. So all foods are going to have calories, but of those calories, they're either going to be made up of a carb, a protein, a fat, or a combination of two or three of these different categories. So you don't really need to know all of this except for the fact that carbs are going to turn into sugar. So carbs turn into sugar, proteins turn into amino acids, and fats turn into lipids. But like I said, you don't really need to know the protein and fat part yet. All right, let's talk about carbs. So I know a lot of you guys, when I say the word carb, you're probably like, oh, I love carbs, but they're bad for me or whatever. And I really want to debunk some stuff here. I do think that people neglect to remember that the number one goal of carbs is to spare protein. And what I mean by that is if you aren't getting enough carbohydrates in your diet, what's happening is your body still needs that energy to be able to function. And so it's going to go get that energy from somewhere else. So it might take the protein that you're intaking and convert that into energy. And the energy that it's converting it to is going to be a suboptimal energy. And it's also not going to allow the protein to do its job, which is building your muscles, increasing that lean body mass and also repairing tissues and organs. So if you're not getting enough carbs, I've seen this in people that are like kind of struggling to get to the next point, like in their fitness or physique, is that we really just need to increase carbs so they can allow their protein to do what it needs to do. Of course, carbs are going to give us energy. It's our body's preferred source Our brains run solely on glucose. So if you're noticing throughout the day that maybe your brain function isn't as good as maybe it has been in the past, that could be a reason why. And then fiber is found in a lot of carb foods, which help us with a million things, really, like helps us stabilize blood sugar, improves digestion, helps us stay fuller longer, and that kind of thing. Carbs are going to be found in, okay, will we have access to this recording? If so, I'll ease up on my note taking. Thanks. You should. Jacqueline said that it is recording and yeah, it's recording right now, confirmed. So yes, you will. And feel free to take pictures of anything and that kind of thing too. But carbs are going to be found in grains, so the delicious, rice, quinoa, oats, and then my personal favorite are the doughs, breads, pastas, that kind of stuff. Carbs are also going to be found in starchy vegetables, so corn, potatoes, peas, and then I have the chat right here, but I think that says fruit. Yeah, so a lot of people forget about fruit for some reason. So fruit is a carb. Legumes are also carbs, but when it comes to thinking about carbs, if you ever taste anything sweet, you automatically know it's a carb because, as I said earlier, all carbs are going to turn into sugar. So if it tastes sweet, it's going to be a carb. So all fruit, and then, cookies, cakes, candy, chocolate, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Next is protein. So I feel like it's a trend right now, or not a trend, but everyone keeps saying, "Oh, I'm sure I'm not getting enough protein. I'm sure I'm not getting enough protein." So everyone I feel like this year is very protein focused, which is great. Um, Protein's jobs are, we kind of talked about them earlier, but they help our organs function properly. They build up our hair, our nails, our tissues, our muscles. They can help us with our hydration, and my favorite is they help regulate blood sugar. So proteins are very important. And then what kind of foods contain protein? So the obvious meat, turkey, chicken, beef, and then seafood, my favorite, salmon, tilapia, shrimp. Dairy has protein too, so like Greek yogurt and like I like Fairlife milk, like that has a great amount of protein. If you do some like low fat cheeses, that has a great amount of protein. And then edamame has a decent amount, tofu has a decent amount, and then like nuts and seeds have some, but not quite as much as some of the others. Okay, and then fat. So the third and final macronutrient is fat, and fats are wonderful for us as well. They help to regulate our hormones. They help us absorb certain nutrients, the fat soluble vitamins to be specific. So without intaking fat, you really can't absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K properly. And then they just protect your organs, keep you warm, and that kind of stuff. We're gonna get to the more fun stuff in just a second, I promise. I know this is kind of like you might feel like you're in school right now, but I promise it gets more fun. Um, and then what kinds of foods contain healthy fats? So avocados, nuts, seeds, fatty fish, oil. Yeah, those are like the healthy fats. There's definitely other foods that aren't healthy, like butter, bacon grease, like the marbling you see in steak, the fat found in dairy, those kinds of saturated fats, but we'll focus on the saturated fats for the sake of today. Okay, so let's get to the fun stuff. This is my favorite side. I love the content, and also I think that it's super cute. Um, but yeah, so let's talk about this. We are talking about blood sugars here, and it's like my personal opinion that if you can regulate your blood sugar levels, your whole life becomes so much easier. Your blood sugar levels are tied back to so many things: your energy, your cravings, your hormones. I mean, just so many things. And so even if you're like, hey, like this doesn't apply to me, like I have a perfect A1C, perfect fasting glucose, it still does, because I've seen time and time again where my clients will have wonderful labs, but their blood sugars throughout the day are on a roller coaster ride. So this is an example of someone that is going like ups and downs, highs and lows all day long in terms of blood sugar. So it's leaving them feeling unsatisfied, um, tired, having cravings, all that kind of stuff. Um, And this is what we are going for right here. So we are looking to have very in control, stable blood sugars. So we want your blood sugars to stay within like a certain like limit all day long. And once we talk through it, you're gonna be like, oh, like I know what you're talking about. I know what it feels like to have great blood sugar levels throughout the day. But until you know, you're it's kind of like this whole world that hasn't been open for you. So let's talk about how to do that. Okay. So, I know I keep saying this, but if you have to take one thing away from today, it's this tip right here. So, every time you eat, whether that's a meal or a snack, I always want you to pair carbs with proteins and preferably fats as well. Because if you have a carb all by itself, hold on one second. If you have a carb all by itself, it's going to look like you are riding up this roller coaster in this yellow graph right here. So let's use an example for breakfast. Let's say you had a piece of toast and some fruit. Both are extremely healthy and great for you. I recommend those, both of them, but both are carbs. So as I mentioned earlier, carbs break down into sugar. And so if we intake these carbs without any other protein or fat, your body's going to take them in and it's going to be like, oh, cool, let's turn that into sugar really quick. And so it's going to convert them into sugar, push it into your blood, and it's going to send your blood sugars soaring. And then the faster that your blood sugars are going to increase, the faster they're going to decrease as well. So after maybe an hour or two, you're left feeling really hungry, tired, not really your best. So if you can add protein and fat to this, protein and fat are they help to slow down digestion because your body's like, okay, hold on, carbs. Like we can't just digest down you into sugar really quick. We have to also digest down protein and fat as well. So instead of this really like high spike in sugar, your body's slowly getting that sugar over the course of maybe 3 hours, maybe even four for some people. So by adding, let's say to the toast and berries, you added some avocado on top of that toast and some eggs in the mix. The avocado is going to be providing you fat, and the eggs are going to be providing you protein and fat, which are going to really create those stable blood sugar levels. Okay, next tip is going to be making sure that you're eating at least every 3 to 4 hours. If you are really active or like an athlete, then I say maybe even every 2.5 or so. But for us, like average Joes, I would say every 3 to 4 hours works great. Just because even just time in general is going to send your blood sugar levels down. Like even if they are stable, let's say you had a great breakfast, but you don't eat lunch until noon, instead of it rising back up, you're still going to be dipping into that red zone. So make sure that you're eating every 3 to 4 hours at least. And then also making sure that you are trying to eat a steady amount of carbs throughout the day. So I said earlier, I want you to always have a carb, a protein, and fat. And we also want to make sure that we're not having way too many carbs or way too little carbs. We want to make sure if you're a female, I recommend about 30 to 45 grams per meal and about 15, it says 20, but really 15 to 30 for like Orange Theory people, 15 to 30 at snacks. And for males, about 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal, maybe 15 to 30, maybe closer to that 30 grams per snack. And and this matters just like let's just use an example of like let's say you're eating a healthy meal and it has let's say 25 grams of protein. Well, if there's 100 grams of carbs, your body's still going to be over processing, that sugar and it's going to still lead to spiked blood sugar levels. And then really focusing on fiber. So the recommendations for fiber are to get 25 grams of fiber a day for women and 38 for males, which this is hard for me to do, honestly, and I'm very aware of fiber and what foods have fiber and stuff. So if you haven't calculated like a day of eating, I do recommend doing it on like my fitness pal or something just to see how much fiber you're getting in a day. And so what I like, because obviously I'm a female, so I eat about 5 meals slash snacks a day. And so I try to break it down, hitting about 5 grams target of each meal or snack. And I feel like that's a very like attainable thing to do for me. But what fiber does is it really helps to slow down digestion. Just like the protein and fat, it's going to slow down that digestion and make your blood sugar spike at a slower rate. Okay, so let's give a real life example of how your blood sugar levels could be affected. So let's say you wake up and you're, like I said before, you have some toast and some berries. So both are very healthy, but both are carbs. So those carbs are going to digest down into sugar, and we're going to send those blood sugar levels spiking a little bit. And um, let's say you had that at like, let's say 7 a.m. And now it's 10 a.m. and you are just absolutely ravenous. You're in the red zone because your blood sugar has dropped a while back and you're so hungry and you can't figure out why. And you're like, oh, I don't know why. Like I'm so low energy and stuff. So that's where most people will go get a coffee or even a second coffee and really just block their brain's receptors, telling them that they're hungry or tired. But their blood sugar levels still continues to drop. So by the time that kind of wears off, maybe it's like 11 or so, and you're just like, oh, I'm starving. Here's an apple. Let me grab this real quick. It's going to be that same effect because an apple is just a carb. So it's going to spike and then come crashing down. So by the time you get to lunch, maybe you were just going to have a sandwich to begin with, but you're like, oh, give me those extra chips. I'm starving. I need carbs. Your brain's kind of taking over and it's like, oh, I'm so hungry, I can't get full, give me all the not great stuff for me. And then maybe you were planning to have a healthier snack, but you're at work and that chocolate on the other side of the room is just staring at you and calling your name because your brain is just like, my blood sugars are low, what's the best thing that can bring it up fast? Sugar, chocolate, yes, give it to me. And so you have the chocolate, you're on a quick spike and crash. And then by the time dinner runs around, you had all intent to just have a burger with a bun or a burger without the bun, maybe and sweet potato fries. But you're like, give me the bun and also throw on that soda too, because I'm feeling low and tired and I'm having cravings. So an example of a very balanced day using kind of some of these similar foods would be, like I said, adding the avocado to and the eggs to that morning breakfast to add some fat and protein to stabilize it. For the afternoon snack, adding peanut butter for fat and a turkey stick for some protein to slow down the digestion of the apple. And then for lunch, instead of going for a sandwich and chips, maybe going for a salad with lots of vegetables that contain tons of fiber, and turkey for your protein. Hummus gives it good, healthy fats, and then fruit for a carb. Also, guys, I know like I'm having you focus on protein and fat, but don't forget the carb either. And that's a mistake I see often is people are trying to be healthy and they'll get a salad and forget the carb. And if you forget the carb, that's not good either because your stomach is full, but your blood sugar is still dropping. So by the time you get to your next snack, it's almost like you skipped a meal. So don't forget to make sure you're getting those carbs at every meal and snack as well. And then for your snack, let's say you had some Greek yogurt with good protein in it, nuts for a fat, blueberries for a carb, and some chia seeds for some extra fiber. And then at dinner, you're able to feel in control and have a bunless burger for your protein, sweet potato fries for your carb, and then I'm sure there's some like fat in the burger as well, and then veggies for fiber and stuff like that. Okay, any questions so far? I don't see any in the chat, but feel free to drop some questions. Um, I know that's a lot, but I promise, like if you can just live the rest of your life, say carb, protein, fat, every meal and snack, life will just it will get so much easier, at least in terms of like health and preventing the hanger. um okay, so now that we've talked about blood sugars, let's talk about assessing how those blood sugars feel in your body. So I think when I ask them, I'm like, oh, and I can ask you all this right now, like what does hunger feel like to you? Most people are like, oh, like, I just feel hungry, like my stomach is growling or I feel a little empty. Um, and so, yeah, take a second to think about what hunger feels like to you. And I'm going to look at this chat question. What macro is milk considered to be? So, average cow milk is, I believe it's 12 grams of carbs, 8 grams of protein, and different fat depending on which one you get. My favorite milk is a Fairlife, which is only 6 grams of carbs and 13 grams of protein, I believe. And so I love that one. And then like oat milk is a little bit higher in carb. Almond milk, it's kind of nothing. Coconut milk can be higher in fat and carb. Yeah, so depending on your brand, it changes a lot. And then how does eating processed foods impact your ability to lose fat and or build muscle? Good question. I do think oftentimes processed foods come with a lot of extra sugar or a lot of extra fat as well. So I think if if the macros and everything were like what we're going for, then I do think that the preservatives and stuff like that can potentially play a role in like how well your body is functioning depending on who you are. So you can totally have like, and process is like a wide range. Like you can have meals that aren't made by you and still see results. But if you're, going out to like fast food restaurants, oftentimes they have way more calories and fat and all that packed in to a tiny amount. Like it's pretty unbelievable. And then I may have missed this. Is there an ideal ratio for carb to protein, et cetera? Oh, good question. I actually didn't mention that. Um, for weight loss, which a lot of my clients are going for, I typically recommend a 40% carb, 30% fat, 30% protein ratio. So whenever I build out meal plans, what I do is I just like that, okay, never mind. That's a little bit too complicated, but 40, 30, 30, and I try to keep it as like even throughout the meals and snacks as possible. For maintenance, I would say I would take the carbs up to like 60 to 65% and split the protein and fat as well. Frozen TV dinners versus going out, but processed, they do allow for portion control versus cooking yourself. I mean, there's some great frozen TV dinners, like the healthy choices are awesome. So I think you can definitely make that work. They've got some extra sodium, so the scale might not be friendly for a few days, but honestly, that works. I eat Costco bell peppers all the time, and I work with like a couple like food people that like send me like chicken and stuff. And I think it's a great alternative. Like I think you also have to like weigh the like the benefit of like, hey, like it's either this or this. And if a frozen TV dinner is gonna prevent you from getting like McDonald's, then that's a much better choice. And then what about muscle gain, macro split? Yeah, I would push the carbs up a little bit, maybe closer to that like 60-ish% just to prevent what I was talking about in the very beginning about sparing the protein. So you want to make sure your carbs are maybe like 60, 65%, maybe protein at like 20, 25%, and then whatever the fat falls in there. I don't know. Fat to me is the one that can wiggle a little bit. Does this ratio work for someone with a hormone imbalance? So yes, so I work with like most of my hormone imbalance is like PCOS women. And so what I found is that if we can just treat them like they have diabetes, and I always for PCOS hormone imbalance go for a 40 carb 30-30 split, then what happens is like their bodies are so happy, their insulin is so regulated, their cortisol is so regulated that it ends up bringing their cycle back. So definitely. Um, okay, great questions. Oh, great presentation, comment. Post Malone's, wait, hold on, I gotta see this. Post Malone's limited edition Oreo cookies to be in store soon, just in time for the Super Bowl. Additionally, I may have a Girl Scout cookie or two. I had a Girl Scout cookie or two this week too. So all in moderation. Have it with some Fairlife milk to balance out the sugar and the protein. I love it. Um, isn't it suggested that you eat 1 gram of protein for goal weight for weight loss? I'd have to do it in terms of pounds. I know I'm like American, but I do everything in kilograms. So minimum is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. We did that in the hospital. But I would say more like 1.5 grams per kilogram, which is pounds divided by 2.2. So there's a lot of different ways I calculate it, but I would say maybe do like 1.2 to 1.5 your weight in kilograms, and then kind of look at that compared to the 30% and see like where that falls. But I would say, yeah, honestly, yeah, 1 pound per pound of body weight is good, unless you have a lot of weight to lose, and that then I would adjust that a little bit. Okay, So let's get back to hunger cues. These are amazing questions. I love how interactive you guys are. Keep asking questions. So fun. Um, but yeah, so let's take the blood sugar info that we learned and kind of convert that into like how it feels. So like I said, when most people think about like when they think about being hungry, they think about their stomach feeling hunger. So I'm going to challenge all of you guys to think about hunger in terms of blood sugar fading. And so I can pretty much, and this is my job, but I can pretty much at all times tell you, like on a scale of 1 to 10, like where my blood sugar levels are at any given time. And so, for example, for things like this presentation and stuff, I made sure to eat a decent amount of carbs, like balanced with proteins and fats, obviously, prior to this presentation to make sure that my brain had energy and power, and I could really bring it for this talk. So I'm gonna go like in order with you guys, in order of like, here is the like first thing that kind of starts happening when blood sugar starts fading to the point where you're passing out, basically. Um, so the first symptom people usually feel is a little bit of a distraction, and some people might mistake this for boredom, and they're like, "Oh, like I'm a bored eater or whatever. I thought it was bad to eat when you're bored." But for me, like I definitely have this. Like maybe I'm saying an email or something and I'm like, "Why am I just not into this? Why is my brain going elsewhere?" It's my brain power is really kind of the first sign I notice that my blood sugar is starting to fade. Next, I would say is typically, yeah, like more of a brain fog or low energy. So starting to feel tired, not in like a sleepy tired, but in a just you're fading. You don't maybe feel like getting up and unloading the dishwasher or walking and asking your coworker a question or something like that. Then things start picking up a little bit more. You might notice more intense feelings, whether that's like being a little angry or anxious. You might have like sugar cravings. You may experience, like, for me, I might experience like forgetfulness of words, or I may like stutter a little bit. Some people will get like headaches, feel lightheaded or dizzy. I'm sure maybe you guys have felt this way like in a workout, like one point in your life where like you're burning a bunch of sugar in your workout and you're just feeling kind of oof, like not good, kind of lightheaded. And then after that, feeling kind of shaky. So I think most people wait way too long to eat. And I think they're just like, because it kind of when people ask you like, "Oh, are you hungry?" Like you kind of wait till you feel like hungry. But I really want to prevent you guys from feeling ever like your blood sugars are way too low. Like I want you to feel like even, stable all day long. So I would say as soon as you start noticing, oh, thanks, that you're feeling like distracted or a little bit low energy, like let's draw a line right there and make sure that you are definitely eating prior to any of these like more intense feelings. And then someone said, where did that go? Okay, how to decrease the bloating. This this I'm going to hit a little bit at the end when we talk about pre-workout, but that is a loaded question that I might have to get with you individually on because there's like a million things that go into bloating, but we have done a presentation on bloating before and we could totally do one again if enough of you guys are interested. Okay, so kind of putting it all together, this is how my brain, and feel free to like take pictures and stuff. Like this is how my brain works when I'm like, oh, how should I make a meal for myself, for my daughter? So for breakfast, our favorite is like sourdough with some eggs and some like Swiss cheese or avocado. And then honestly, I don't usually have vegetables for breakfast, but there is the option there. So really just like making sure you're picking at least one thing from each category whenever you're building out a meal. For lunch, you may have, let's say, potatoes with salmon and avocado and some like, I don't know, mushrooms or broccoli or something like that. For a snack, there's a lot of different ways, you could make combinations. I would say for a snack, at least having a protein or fat, but if you can have both with the carb, that's even better. So you could have like crackers with, um, let's say, like hummus and some raw vegetables to dip in that hummus as well. Or you could have fruit on some Greek yogurt. And you could have like more than one of these proteins or fats too, like fruit with the Greek yogurt and maybe like some chia seeds or something. What about a Caesar salad? Great question. So a Caesar salad, let's just break it down. So you've got your lettuce, which is kind of nothing, honestly. Like it helps the fiber, but it doesn't really count. Like vegetables to me, unless they're starchy, don't count in the carb, protein, or fat. They're just bonus. Um, so you got the lettuce, which is nothing, the chicken, which is a protein, the Caesar dressing, and the Parmesan, which leans more towards a fat. So you're just missing a carb. So you could add like crackers, or if the restaurant serves bread that you got to add, or if it's at home, you could save that for your Girl Scout cookies or something right there. Wouldn't be like obviously the first choice, but if you're like, I really want a Girl Scout cookie or two, then having a Caesar salad and pairing that meal with that snack could be an option. And then for dinner, maybe you have pasta with some beef and maybe a side salad with olive oil and lettuce. Okay, so when it comes to building meals, like if you guys are looking at websites and stuff, my personal favorite website is, I hate the name, but I love the website skinnytaste.com. They have all the calories and nutrient like macros and stuff at the, if you just scroll down like literally forever to see it, but they have it on there. Um, so whenever you guys are looking at meals, I want you guys to kind of evaluate and make sure that it's a well-rounded meal. And if it doesn't have, like the Caesar salad, for example, if it doesn't have all three components, that's fine. Just build it in yourself. So for example, let's use the Thai turkey lettuce wraps. So that's going to be like a lettuce wrap with pretty much like protein and maybe a little fat on the inside. So you're missing a carb. So instead of making them lettuce wraps, I actually prefer this over like a sticky rice. I think it's so good, like coconut aminos. So I prefer my carb in that way. Or maybe if you guys had like a really, maybe like you know, it's the holiday season and someone brought home cookies and you really wanted one, like that could be an opportunity to have a cookie with, or a piece of toast, or maybe some potatoes or something. So, and like another example is this pita pizza. So the pita pizza, it's not to say that you can't have it. We just gotta, it's like a puzzle. You gotta make it fit your needs. So a pita pizza, the pita part is going to be your carb. Let's say you use like an olive oil dressing, so that's going to be your fat, and then most likely it's lacking on the protein. So maybe you could do a side salad with some protein, or you could add protein on top of your pizza. Just remember, everything can fit. You just have to work it a little bit. And then here are some snack ideas. So making sure to always, pair those together. So an apple's your carb, peanut butter's your fat. Um, Caprese skewers, mostly fat, a little bit of protein, have it with crackers as a carb. Grapes are a carb, have it with a string cheese, which is like a protein and a fat. And here's just a real life day of eating. I think you guys pretty much get it, but we'll just do it one more time. So for breakfast, eggs are going to be a protein and fat. Turkey bacon's going to be mostly protein, a little bit of fat. Mixed berries are going to be your carb. For lunch, ground turkey is going to be your protein. Brown rice would be your carb. Avocado would be your fat, and then veggies are just great for you. Nothing really. For a snack, maybe you did toast as your carb, peanut butter as your fat, strawberries. They're not too much of a carb, but they're still a carb. And then maybe you did a Fairlife milk to give you your protein. And then for dinner, let's say you did chicken as your protein, sweet potato as your carb, and then veggies, maybe you put a little Parmesan cheese on it or cooked them in some olive oil to give you that fat. Suggestion on the best brand of protein bar. Some are disproportionately high in carbs or sugars compared to protein. Great question. Um, I really like the RX bars. I think are great. I like I can't have them because I can't have soy, but barbells are another one people like. My personal favorite of all of them, I think, are Aloha bars. On Amazon, the orange one that's like chocolate chip flavored, they're almost always on sale. And I think they taste really good. They're super clean. I think those are plant-based, like they don't have like whey protein, which aggravates a lot of people as well. I also I think the tastiest ones are perfect bars. I get those at Costco in the refrigerated section. And I'll have like half of one because they are like a bit higher in like sugar and carbs. But if I have half, then it's fine. But like my husband does the whole one and it's great. Good question. Oh, okay. So I'm sure some of you guys grew up using the food or hearing about the food pyramid. I did as well. Now they have converted that to the my plate or choose my plate is what they say. And so we've talked about, macros, what to eat, when to put them on your plate, how to, pair them together and stuff. So now we're talking portion size. Okay. So this is what your plate should look like. I hope you guys have seen this. It's super great. And this is what I envision when I'm building out a plate now. So this I would say this is really great for like kids. So if you have kids, like structuring their plates like this is amazing. But if you're trying to like maintain or lose weight, I would push the fruits over where the grains are. So that top right quarter is going to say carbs. So you have like a quarter is carbs, a quarter is protein. Then like let's push that vegetable up. So you can either leave your plate blank or have a ton of vegetables, like if it's a salad or something. And then the dairy can either be dairy or fat. So when you're building a plate, like try to think of it in this way. And I feel like it makes life so much easier to be like, okay, a quarter, half, sprinkle of fat. Okay. Keep asking questions if you have any before we kind of go over to the next section. How do multivitamins and other dietary supplements play into all this? They really don't affect it unless it's if it's something like collagen, which I do love collagen, then that would be like a protein. But like fish oil and all that, it's in such small amounts that it doesn't impact like macros too much. Yeah. Um, but good question. I like it. Okay. So how to feel before your workout? Hydration. Hydration is so important. It's crazy how many like athletes I see that are just like chronically dehydrated. And they say that only a 2% level of dehydration can lead to a decrease in performance by 10%. And I think a lot of people are a little bit more dehydrated than 2% a lot of the time. So it can affect your work, your workouts, how well you recover. Also, we talk on this a lot in like our other sessions about like gut health and gut microbiome and things like that. But if you're not drinking enough water, then that can't help you, that like can prevent you from going to the bathroom regularly because your large intestine, it's going to keep absorbing that water. So if you aren't having regular bowel movements, then that bad bacteria can overpopulate in your gut and lead to like gut dysbiosis. So definitely make sure you're hydrating. It's very important. One more thing about hydration, sorry, is that sometimes dehydration and low blood sugars can kind of present some of the same, like similar feelings. So try to eliminate, like if you're trying to figure out what low blood sugar feels like and listen to your hunger cues, then try to, isolate that and don't have like hydration as a variable. And then definitely make sure you're leaving time for your food to digest. So I know you guys are going to get mad at me when I say this. There's an exception to the rule. I've been like hammering you all to never have a carb without protein and fat ever. But there is one exception, and the exception is if you're within that 30 minutes to an hour window before a workout, especially a workout like Orange Theory, where you're going to be jumping and moving and really pushing yourself, most people can't like including myself, like you can't really handle protein or fat within that window because like we said, protein and fat slow down digestion and you really don't want that fat and protein sitting in your stomach during your workout. It can make you feel kind of just bad and bloated and just not ideal. So make sure you're waiting maybe like an hour and a half or two. I would say if it's a meal, I would wait about like 3 or so hours. If it's a snack, hour and a half or two. And if it's within that 30-minute to 1 hour window, then just have a carb. It's also okay to spike the blood sugar just a little bit pre Orange Theory workout because you are about to drop it down so much through the exercise that it's going to end up being stable. So that's why things like, like Gatorade and stuff like that is a thing. But if you do want to have something right before your workout, I recommend like a banana or a rice cake or just like a non-protein bar, granola bar, coconut water, something like that. Okay, so hitting on the bloating question from earlier, um, cruciferous vegetables. These are like a huge culprit that a lot of people don't know about. And especially like I work with like a lot of dancers and cheerleaders and athletes and stuff. And so they're like, oh, I'm so, like, and they are like they eat so clean and healthy, but they don't realize that if you have like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, that even though they're so healthy for you and they're feeding your gut microbiome, one of the byproducts of these foods is gas. And so you can be eating super clean and then you put on your uniform or you put on your workout outfit and you're just like, oh, like why do I not feel like myself? Why is my stomach bubbly? This is like embarrassing or whatever. So make sure if you're having a workout that maybe if your stomach isn't a stomach of steel to avoid cruciferous vegetables, I would say at least 12 hours. For me, personally, broccoli is not as bad. Like that'll be minor bloating, but like something like cabbage or Brussels sprouts, like that might affect me for almost like 24 hours. I'll notice like stomach distending and stuff. And then making sure that you're watching out for sugar alcohols and fake sugars too. So I actually don't ever recommend that you guys have aspartame or sucralose, especially now, like research came out that I can't remember which one, I think it was aspartame. It's been linked with like altering like your DNA or something crazy. And then sucralose has been shown to feed the bad gut bugs in living in your GI tract, which is crazy. So those I would never recommend, but things like sugar alcohol, so things that end in OL, sorbitol, erythritol, they're in a lot of sports drinks, bars, sports bars, stuff like that. Um, those aren't bad for you, but they do act like fiber, like they kind of mimic fiber in the gut. And so it kind of draws water and bloating and can bring some like gas and stuff as well. So especially before a workout, cut out the fake sugar or the sugar alcohols. Stevia and monk fruit are okay, and then like small amounts of like sugar or honey are okay too. So like that, so like that's what I use most of the time is like honey, honestly, like in my coffee and stuff like that, just like a little bit. I will use stevia too, but also make sure because I was using a stevia for like years and the first ingredient was erythritol and I was so upset. So make sure if you're getting a stevia, you get a pure stevia. My favorite brand is like Pyure, pure. It's like relatively inexpensive and I think it tastes pretty good. Okay, so I know I was stressing fiber the whole time as well, but right before you work out, you don't want to have things like beans, high fiber bars, just because the byproduct of feeding the gut is the gas, as we talked about. And then during your workout, again, hydration, hydration, hydration. Very important to replenish the water that you are losing. And I know you guys sweat in Orange Theory, so definitely replenish. And then us average Joes, we don't really need like, well, honestly, you might like if you're burning a ton or maybe like in your workouts, you're feeling what I was talking about earlier, that kind of queasy or weak feeling, then maybe you do need to replenish with like a coconut water or maybe like a dye-free Gatorade, like a clear Gatorade or something. Or maybe you guys also are working on running a half marathon or marathon or something. So maybe like those little chews or things you can squirt in your mouth might be a good option as well. And then after your workout, it is really important to get protein in within 45 minutes. So they say that's kind of like the window to kind of get the max benefits of the protein. So it doesn't have to be protein shake like everyone tries to push on you. Like it can be chicken, beef, tofu, Greek yogurt, whatever that is. But I would say if you're trying to really focus on muscle gain, then trying to get that protein within 45 minutes is important. And then same thing with carbs. It said that within 45 minutes, about 50% of the carbs that you take in are used to go to glycogen synthesis. I know that probably doesn't mean anything to you guys, but if you can replenish those carbs within 45 minutes, then it can be just good for your body. It doesn't spike your blood sugars, basically. And then making sure that you are hydrating again. So just remember there's, so many benefits of water, but this is the actual recommended amount right here. But I would say if you're a female, I would say starting at 64 ounces of water a day without exercise. And if you're doing an Orange Theory exercise, maybe adding an additional 32 ounces there, so almost 100. And then if you're a male, I would say maybe starting closer to like 80 ounces a day. And if you're exercising at Orange Theory and sweating a lot, I would say even close to a gallon. But I would say like a good goal would be 80 to 100 ounces a day if there's exercise involved. And then we had a question here. Oh, I have a fainting condition and require an insane amount of water. I don't like sports drinks, hydrating powders, etc. How can I retain more water? Um, have you tried playing around with electrolytes? I wonder if that would kind of help to maintain that water intake. Oh, that's interesting. We might have to talk afterwards about that so I can give you more specific um, results, but or more specific answers. But be careful with electrolytes if you are taking like medicines, like if you are taking any blood pressure medicine or anything like that, because the stuff can like affect your kidneys and stuff. But electrolytes are overall good for you if you don't take any medicines or anything. And then sleep, everyone forgets about sleep. It's one of the questions I ask all my clients. And yeah, a lot of people like, I struggle with sleep myself. I love staying up late, and we just started this new book and it's really good. But sleep is so important. If you're not sleeping enough, it will increase your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And cortisol just basically wreaks havoc on our bodies. It affects our hormones, our like our mood, it affects our eating habits, literally everything. Sleep is so needed. So make sure that you're really prioritizing like other things like sleep and hydration into your healthy 2025 regimen as well. Yeah. And then I'm going to stick around for questions if you guys want to keep asking them in the chat. And then if you want to email me like a more personal question, I'd be happy to respond to you. And yeah, I forgot it. Yeah. So I also have a kind of like a little mini summary of what we talked about, little handout. If you guys want it, I can send it to you. So just email me at Nicole Hinckley RD. I know it's so long, rd@gmail.com. And I'll send it to you and hopefully I'll probably do it tomorrow, honestly. But yeah, it was so wonderful talking with you guys, and I'll stick around and answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Hey, Nicole, can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Um, I was wondering, the worksheet that we did at TCU and I can't remember the other studio. I was wondering if we could send that out, or if you could send it to me so that then they could
yeah.
count their macros.
That
Um,
has like calories and
yeah,
macros, and yeah, we could totally do that.
if you send that to me, then when we make this available, I can also make that available so that then they can start counting that. That way, maintenance
Oh, perfect.
mode, if they want to, yeah, all of it.
I'll send you that handout and this handout, so that way they don't have to email me. They can just
Yeah.
see it, download it.
Okay,
Perfect.
perfect. And if there's anything else anybody else thinks that they need or want, just shout out and we'll get it to you
Yeah.
guys.
And then they asked how they can rewatch the Zoom.
Yeah, so this is supposed to record on the cloud and then we'll share it on our VIP pages. So if you're not a member on your studio's Facebook group, you'll have to get onto there. That would be the only way we would share it out, would be a link on the VIP page. So just
Okay.
check with your studio if you're not on there to get joined. We won't share it on our public page. It'll only just be on the Facebook page. And then
Okay.
if needed, they could contact our Instagram or even marketing at otfwj.com. We can answer any questions there as well. So either way, we'll get it to you
Perfect.
guys.
Okay. And then someone asked about scheduling a one-on-one session. Yeah, I do free discovery calls if anyone wants to do that as well. They're 15, I block 30 minutes if we want to talk longer, honestly. And you can email me, we can set it up, but you can also go to my website and you can book it through there and just like pick your time and it will just auto do it if you want to chat. And then what is the best way to figure out how many calories that you should be consuming? Great question. That is what kind of Jacqueline was just talking about with me. So in our two two presentations ago, we did like a let's walk through your calories and how to figure out everything. So I will attach that handout, or I will send it to Jacqueline. She will upload it, so you'll be able to see that. But I like to, this is a long answer, but I'm just gonna tell it to you. Okay, so I like to go to the like using a Mifflin, Miflin space like Saint ST space George Jeor equation and to calculate your BMR. And then once you have your BMR, if you wear a watch, I would add in the activity factor, not total calories, making sure that's activity factor. Um, Adding that to your BMR, and that should give you your maintenance calories. And then so that's maintenance calories. I know this is a lot. I hope you're listening. And if you want to lose weight, I recommend subtracting about 250 to 500 calories a day. Maintain, leave that number the same. And if you want to put on weight, plus 250 to 500 a day. But we'll get a handout. Thank you for y'all's kind words. You did such a great job. This makes me feel like I've been doing a great job by accident, LOL, and gives me hope and ideas, especially for me and the kids. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Um, what are the macro ratios for building muscle? I would say closer to the carbs being around closer to that like 65%. And then I would probably put protein about 25% probably. Maybe play with the carb protein depending on like your weight, but I would probably say, yeah, like maybe carbs at 60%, protein at 25%, and then fat being the rest. Do you have a preferred tracking app? I've used Lose It and it works great, but guys, I'm so old school. I like my Fitness Pal, but it's probably just because that's like what I first used. So, I also think like even though we talked a lot about macros and stuff, I'm not like even huge on counting things and calories and all of that. Like for my clients, I actually recommend them do a food journal just to bring awareness to it. Like, where's my carb? Where's my protein? Where's my fat? And listening to their hunger cues rather than like the external, like, you can only have this much, etc. I welcome tips on how to master my Fitness Pal. I'm tracking foods is self-exploring. However, I can't figure out how macros tracking, most likely user error. Okay, but let me pull it up. Okay, so let's see. And yeah, honestly, my Fitness Pal, I feel like sometimes you kind of have to know a little bit of the information to be able to know which one to do. So let me just add in something really quick. I'm gonna add in strawberries because it's right there. Okay. Can you see this? No, you can't. Okay. So if you go to my Fitness Pal, you entered in, go to, you just scroll all the way down to the bottom. On the left bottom, it says nutrition right there. And then at the top, it'll be like overview, calories, nutrients, and then you can click macros and it will tell you the percentages for the day, all that. And then in nutrients, it will tell you the carbs and proteins too. But yeah, just scroll all the way down to the bottom of your day and then click nutrition and go look. Okay. I'm old school. Okay, sorry, I'm getting caught up. Thank you, thank you, thank you guys so much for being so nice. Um, so for muscle gain, we should eat more carbs and protein. Yes, yes, you said should. It seems counterintuitive, but yes, more carbs and protein for muscle gain. I use macros first and love it. Okay, I haven't tried that one, so maybe that would be a good one. Any tips for consistency with healthy eating? Orange Theory helps me with accountability and motivation for workouts, but the nutrition piece is so much more challenging. I think, yeah, I mean, when it comes to consistency, I think trying to do like one or two things, and not making it too difficult, and then just really finding your motivation behind like why you're doing this, and like, figuring out what motivates you. And then if you have anything that's negative, like I was saying earlier, like my Fitness Pal, like if you've struggled with like food and stuff in the past, it can be a bit like defeating and stuff. So try to find a system that works for you. Like something I like to do when it comes to like my fitness goals is I'll print off a calendar for that like on Canva and make it super cute. And I'll like write in the calendar like what days I exercised and what I did, just to make it like really positive. So I think the more that you can reward yourself with positive and kind of see improvements month by month, the better. Try not to get in like a, I'm on a, I'm on like a 30-day, I do challenges for 30 days, but try not to get into like, oh, I'm on a 10-day streak and then you give up. Look at like, oh, how can I beat last month or something like that. Um, I'm old school. You helped grandpa. Haha. That's funny. Can you send more info on bloating, gut health, or info on your next session on this topic, please? Yeah. Um, Jacqueline, maybe we need to do another one on bloating and gut health. I think that might be fun. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I've ever heard one, but like I don't feel like we've done one recently, but I do think that could be something that we could do, and then we can also kind of ask our members, and yeah, we're open to feedback. So whatever we can do to help you guys, if there's another topic, I know for me personally, I know we talked on it a little bit, but hormones. So I feel like for me, I'm all about that. I need that
Yeah,
help.
yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's such like a broad topic, but yeah, I feel like people are finally like realizing, oh, like maybe my hormones are off. Yeah, we did one, I think it was almost like a little less than I think it was the one that we were supposed to do when I was like when I gave birth and had to cancel our meeting. I was like texted you like, I'm on the way to the hospital. But yeah, we did one once where it was we were trying to figure out, is it inflammation? Or is it bloating? Or is it food allergies? Or is it
Yep.
normal bloating? And that was like a fun topic.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right. We did do that one. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah, I think that can be a mini topic. I love it.
yeah, that would be fun. And like there's just so much on the gut microbiome now. And then how should I go about increasing my electrolytes? Oh, people are giving um tips. Yeah, I use oh goodness. I just did something. Okay. Salt stick fast chews, game changer. Awesome. Yeah, that one's great. I don't usually take them. I think a lot of people love taking them and I probably should. But um okay, yeah, I would say just just find what works for you, but when it comes to choosing an electrolyte, try to find one that is like dye free, preservative free, all that kind of stuff. There's one right now that I've seen a lot about. It's on Amazon, I think, and you can like it almost reminds me of like those Neos where you like squeeze it in your water and it like doesn't taste like anything. It has nothing really in it. So that's good. Or just yeah, anything that's like just clean, I guess. Yes. Yeah. Boy, I don't know how you call it.
See,
Buoy.
that's the problem that I run into is that like any sort of additive makes me really sick, but I'm supposed to have like 4+ liters of water a day.
Oh my goodness. That's what like any additive?
I
Like,
mean, I've tried like all of them. The limit, oh gosh, I can't even think of them right now. Salt sticks, I think I've tried their like pill version, Gatorade,
okay.
Powerade, coconut water.
Oh, you tried coconut water and you get sick? Oh
Yeah,
no.
I can't
Okay.
really stomach it.
Okay, well, we might have to get on and like figure something out because like I'm like coconut water is as natural as it gets. So yeah, that's a tough one. We'll have to figure that one out. I'll have to think
Okay.
on that one actually. Yeah, but good question. Sorry, I couldn't help you initially. Yeah, any other questions? Okay. Well, yeah, it was so wonderful talking with you guys, and I look forward to talking with you all soon. And yeah, if any of you guys email me, I'll probably be checking my email tomorrow and getting back to you guys then. But have a great rest of your night. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks.
Say bye.
Thank you guys.